Here in England passed a policy. In that process, the librarians were so bothered and unaware that we had some of these books. By the time the policy was even trying to be enforced, those books were removed because we gave the opportunity for people to do the right thing. We showed them, we exposed it. God allowed the exposure of it, right? We've been on the front lines of a lot of things, but my heart hurts when I hear all the horror stories of what's going on, and I can't do very much of anything besides trying to equip other people. And I do know my time is, limited with what I can give and pour out to everybody. So at the same time, I will tell you, when Bill Aselli called me last March, before he was appointed, I always say Bill got me in the biggest trouble. Newsom had just done something, I don't know what he did, but they're doing something daily with education. So I don't even remember, but I remember him calling me and he said, "Hey, Shaw, you need to run for state superintendent." And I laughed. I'm like, "Yeah, the soccer mom, you want me to run for state superintendent? Like, dude, don't you think I already have enough on my plate?" I laughed and I said, "Okay, Bill, what bad Bill is up there?" Because usually he would give us a heads up so we can gather the troops and get ready to go out and, make a big noise in Sacramento and expose it. But he said, "No, I called you because you need to run for state superintendent." And I was like, "Oh, you're not joking. Okay, well, let me get back to you in a week. I need to go to my husband. We need to go to God. He needs to go to God. Our family needs to go to God. We need to bring our girls in. We all need to go to God. So I'll get back to you in 5 to 7 days." He was like, "No, I kind of need an answer in 24 to 48 hours. I didn't know he was being appointed, and he was trying to buckle everything down because he is somebody who likes to put things in action and make sure that we have different people and positions to do the good works. And I was like, "Oh crap." So called my husband. I'm like, "Hey babe, please don't say no. Just go to God." Long story short, you can see where I'm standing again. Where the answer was, we brought our girls in because it's a family thing. And then eventually we all gave our yes to God. And I told Bill, yes, he connected me with somebody who I believe in my heart, is not like the normal business that I'm learning when you run a campaign, because it is a business. And that's why I understand now normal people don't do it, because it's designed to make people money and they don't care about the result. That is the truth, but we care about the results. But I do believe God will provide. And I got out on the ground to tell the Republicans, because unfortunately, you see what's going on in other races. We always shoot ourselves in the foot. The Democrats don't have to spend any money on us. We do the job for them. We take each other down. "Oh, I don't like her earrings. I don't like his this. I don't like this. I don't like that." By the end of the time, you chip away on that person so bad, you don't have anybody in good position to kind of lift up and sharpen. The Bible is biblical. We have to sharpen each other, our brothers and sisters in Christ. But unfortunately, everybody else kind of just does the opposite. So I wanted to get out there, and remember that friendly bowling I told you? And friendly bully, all the Republicans do not get in, because you're going to have an angry mob after you. And I don't think you understand, they're not your normal angry people. And we come with a lot of other people like you guys, linked arms with us, that will be very aggressive in exposing the craziness of what we are seeing. So I'm not trying to be mean, but stay out of it. We did a darn good job, right, David? We got out there with everybody's help. I think we have one kind of still trying to pretend he's running, but he's selling a book, so I don't even give him relevancy other than just being transparent. And we have 7, maybe even 8, because one socialist just entered, Democrats, even though it's nonpartisan, against me. Okay, it's really good. We're looking good. Newsom's scared. Look, the state superintendent is the spokesperson of education. They've been able to hide everything because he just signs on the dot, aligns himself. Nobody knows what's going on because we're busy trying to provide and actually do good for our families. Now, they see the writing on the wall. They see we are the majority. They're already trying to pull things about me. If Sonja was connected to MAGA, would you vote for her? If Sonja is connected to LGBTQ, would you vote for her? I've seen people who've gotten the polls, what they're trying to message and take me down with. God exposes that. I know how to fight if God tells me how we need to fight it. Newsom tried to take the authority. He's asking legislation to take the authority of the state superintendent away. He can't take the seat away because it's too late. It's a constitutional seat. He would have to get it on the ballot, and he doesn't have enough time. He has enough money. He doesn't have enough time. So his last state of the state, 4 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, he proposed to take the authority away from the state superintendent. Why? Because they're scared. Look, in May, we can win this. I know we can. I would never torture my family. And I say we're going to win it, God willing, right? God opening the door in his almighty name with the protection. Because I believe in my heart, if we win this, I get tears when in the days that I feel like it's heavy and there's another threat in my family or whatever it may be. Trust me, I have my CCW. My kids know how to shoot guns, and we're probably proud owners of 4 guns. We never used to own guns prior. Remember, I was not even involved in politics. I never had guns. Now we're all knowing how to shoot and carry and all this fun stuff. But I would never involve my family. I would never involve you guys, and I would never involve everybody's hard work, their stewardship to just go to waste. I know we're burnt out. I know we're tired. But in that tired and that weariness, we go to God, right? We get our strength from him. Jenny can tell you when we're on our 4th place and we're all the way in the middle of boondocks, California, where I didn't even know it existed. I'm learning geography firsthand in California. I'm sucking air sometimes, but tears coming down. And then we have to be like Isaiah 6:8 and just say, Lord, send me. Have a happy heart. Send us, right? Like, it's not why me. It's Lord, send me. He doesn't need us. We need him. And we need to allow him. I never thought in a million years I would get involved in politics, guys. I keep telling our party, get it together. Let's work together, right? If you use and allow people to be giving their gifts in our party, can you imagine how many more people we can get on the right side of history? These people are on the wrong side, it's clear. So for me, with this nonpartisancy, it's a blessing it's nonpartisan. Everything that I say, I guarantee 81% of California agrees with what I say. The other ones are the crazy ones in the street being paid by, God knows who, and you know who because you've seen the books. But they're a different story. There are people that I pray one day, God pulls them down to their knees and they only have him to go to. But the rest, they want to be able to trust the public school system, but they know it's broken and some of them don't have any choice. They're sending their most precious gifts in because they have no other way. They feel hopeless. So at that moment, we are God's hands and feet in that work. We get out there, we share the story, we take these seats. We do not do what they do best, breaking each other down. If you see, you don't like my earrings for the day, sharpen me. Tell me, hey, Sonja, I don't like it. Let's do this. Hey, Sonja, I didn't like your message. Let's do this, right? That's what I encourage you guys to do. Be partners. This is us. This isn't my campaign. This is our campaign. I've said it all across California. I'm just the car. You guys are jumping in, right? The big old school bus to save California kids. Can you imagine since 1960, nobody with common sense, nobody even on the Republican side, even if they, are missing a little common sense, has had this seat. And now we have them sporadically going crazy, fighting each other. The teachers union, the teachers federation union, and the labor workers union are the 3 most powerful unions in the political world. They are all over the nation. They went with 3 different crazy candidates in this seat. Why? That's God doing that. That's God allowing the crazy things for them to do. The enemy causes confusion. They're all confused. Which one do we give it to? You know how grateful I am that they did that? All of them didn't get behind one person. They're all eating each other alive. I was on a debate thing at CSBA, or they called it a debate, but they would never let me debate those guys. So they cut my mic, which is fine. I would probably say really mean things. But even with that said, I'm looking at every single one of them. They're legislators, previous legislators, Assembly Speaker of the House, the Assembly, Anthony Rendon, 8 years, all oil funded, slimy politicians, all trying to promise everybody they're going to do something different in education. And I'm over there like, Mom, looking at all of them like, I'm sorry. What are you guys doing saying that you're going to do something different? You had how many years? Some of you decades. And the continuous failure is the proof. $130 billion spent on education. Only 47% of our kids read, write, and do math. We have kids out in the street this week doing God knows what in unsafe positions because they've been programmed by the people in these classrooms to go out there and do adult work. It boils my blood. I was on Flashpoint. He even had to tell me to breathe because I'm so righteously pissed that we're allowing this to happen to a generation. Not on our watch. We can do stuff differently. I had promised everybody, God willing, we get in May, because May is really when we need to vote. June is already too late. June 3rd is too late. May we win this. From May to November, my word, I'll have free time to be able, hopefully, to not only assemble a team that we're going to take up there, but to get more board members. As I travel across California, it's not just for this seat. It's to encourage our candidates, get in there, our potential candidates, get in there, get into city councils and the school boards. Because if we don't, we lose. We can get somebody up there like me causing ruckus and chaos in the right way and exposing the truth and fighting the good fight up there. But until we get the people on the ground to stand with me in those seats, what can we do? Can you imagine 17 districts that just came off the back? That's nothing in comparison, but that's 17 districts that on day one, we enforce federal Title IX and we show that there's consequences if you don't. We ask and we work with the federal department, as I'm already trying to expose them, put them through process. Guys, you see the headlines. Harupa Valley, Placentia, Yorba Linda are under investigation. That was all because little girls showed up in my inbox and I was able to connect them with an attorney, which Advocates for Faith and Freedom, pray for them. They are amazing. They do good work. I'm able to put them with that. I'm able to call California Family Council. Let's go do a rally or do something to expose the story. I work with Fox. We have great digital editors. I'm not saying Fox is great, but they have great people in there on our side. We work with them, get the story exposed. You see the stories and headlines. That's all because we are just saying, yes, God. And then he sends all of us to do what we do best in whatever gifts we are. I'm grateful, thankful to be here. I love you guys. Keep fighting the good fight. We are one, working for our almighty Lord and Savior. Remember, that little us, as I throw my fit to God, I'm like, oh, don't throw your fit. Okay, your tantrum's done. He's fine. And Lord, send me to the next place. Send me tomorrow as I wake up and have another day. I know you probably questions, answers. Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to out you. We have an outing policy in here, don't we? Okay. I'm glad you asked, because I always do myself. I should probably be in trouble. My consultant would probably slap me on the hand, like, you're not saying how to contact you. Okay, so I have a website. I have palm cards. It's very easy. You can scan the card. It can take you to do an online donation. Envelopes, I have them. Take them. Palm cards, take them in stacks. Those are things that we can utilize. If you can't give money, you can give the envelope to somebody who can. I think the most beautiful thing is even when I get $5 donation, that's somebody buying into what we're saying and they're saying, I can do it and I can give whatever I can. We have people, the max is 9,800 that they can do on the primaries. Mind you, this is the only constitutional seat you can win in the primary. The only one, 50+1. So remember, we have 7 divided with 3 unions dividing their candidates, and we have me with a nonpartisan seat. The messaging is out there. They already know what I've stood on. Every one of my opponents have came out on me on the things that poll the highest and get people on both sides to agree on. So 9,800 per person in a household is the max. We've had some, I would say about, maybe 15 people do that. I think we need more. So if you know somebody, look, we all know somebody, please be an advocate. I can't, unfortunately, get in front of everybody. I wish I could. Trust me, if you looked at my days, they can vouch for it. I'm usually, I get Jenny about a quarter of the time. She has a family and she's a mother. I get Pat, but she's our board secretary here and there when we want to torture her and give her some fun stories to talk about. But I'm out. I'm doing the work. There's not a day I get off. Sundays I ask off to go to church. Half of the Sundays, actually all the Sundays in January, I was on a flight flying back, trying to make it home to my family, and that was my only day off. I'm doing the work. I just need hands on deck. If it's you guys spreading the word, I'll take it. If you guys knowing somebody who can fund it, trust me, I will utilize the money the best I can. And we're pretty good at not putting all the money into the system unless we need to put the money into the system the right way, right? I'm a good steward of the blessings that God gives me. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. Thank you for that. And I appreciate your blessing. There's also someone here, I'm not going to point him out because he's usually just somebody who likes to give. When we first came and we were needing shirts, our Save Girls Sports shirts, which we'll be wearing to CIF Friday, by the way. If any of you can make it, we're not putting an online flyer, but please try to show up in support. The word got out and he handed me a check and paid for, a big portion of our shirts. So people do come forward, and I appreciate their help and their willingness to serve where needed. But yeah, I thank you for your leadership too. It takes all of us. It really does. And I always say we can complain as a family, but we better be part of the solution. I've always told my girls, and I even tell the people I come in contact, look, we can complain all day long about how the party's broken, how this person is this, how this person's not doing it right, but be part of the solution, right? We can have our intimate family conversations is what I call it, but then let's put action. Let's get people in those delegate seats to do the right thing, and that way we have a voice. That's what I'm a believer of, right? Again, we can all, let off steam, and I believe that's necessary, but we also have to, she has it, and then I'll go to you. Oh, it's horrible. Talk about, yeah, I'm glad you did it. Usually I don't have like a lot of time, and sometimes like whatever God has me talk about, it's like, okay, that was what I spoke about because I asked God for the words. Okay, so Prism. So this ideology has been pushed into curriculum, okay, and it's very well funded. And Prism is the required training that was implemented this year for teachers to have to take to push LGBTQ plus into things like PE, even science, every subject. But it also put a policy in there, which is the secret policy to keep this ideology that if their kids are experiencing dysphoria, that they think they're another sex, they put the policy in there for school boards to adopt, right? And teachers and staff to be influenced to adopt this secret policy in there. Now, as a mother, we did a lot of public records requests. That's something we can all do to government, and you get documents back. And if you're aggressive, you will get those documents back. I get them done on me all the time, by the way. They're trying to do hit pieces on me, and EdSource and all of them are trying to like get all my emails, my 700 forms, all these things that they always ask for about me. But there's nothing nefarious. I'm like, go on my social media, get a lot more hit piece work on there. I say everything on there, right? So I always laugh, like, stop wasting our staff's time. I'll give it to you. Just reach out. But long story short, I did a public record request with Prism training. And I said Prism should be in prison because it's fraud. It's a line of like how they funnel this money. They were sending, and they're still sending on your taxpayer dollars, people to attend Pride Fest, people to be housed in a nice what do you call it? Hotels. Sorry, I'm going brain dead. Food, all these things to do Pride Fest, and then come back and report to develop this crazy training. We're not too far from San Diego. We have two teachers on the Marabelli case. Pray for them, Elizabeth Marabelli and Lori West. You see that their lawsuit is at the steps of Supreme Court, right? With what is it called? The society. What is it called, Pat? My mind's drawing. Thomas More. Sorry, Paul Jonas is amazing, but I'm running on fumes, so sorry. Excuse me for that. But so in the process, they're fighting the good fight. I took this training. And I'm like, no way in heck, I don't care if it's law or not, are we going to let our teachers take this? First of all, we accept exemptions in our district. We don't have retaliation. We just say, oh, you don't want to take it? Good, don't take it, right? Because we have directed staff. We have a 5-0 board now. We worked hard. They came after us with recalls, everything. But last year, I did fail to mention we gained the other seats. They could have switched our majority because we had 3 seats up. That's all they needed to do. I mean, CTA dumped money. But long story short, when it came to that, I took the training. I even put Pat on some Zooms, like, Pat, answer your phone right now. And I put the screen share. What is this? How could they be? Right, Pat? They were so vile and disgusting. Like these videos that they were making and making teachers watch that they can, how to do it. These activists. It was so nauseating to see this. One thing in there got them in super big trouble. It was the policy to hide the gender dysphoria. I said sex, but it said gender stuff in there. I told California Family Council, Greg, he told Paul, next thing you know it, we're signing some kind of form for the courts, and we are the whistleblowers in the case to show that California is lying to the judge, Benitez. Thank God for Judge Benitez. He's an honorable judge. Pray for him. That man is amazing. Me and Jenny are driving down to San Diego at the last hearing before it goes to Supreme Court. We're 8 hours into this, and they are getting drilled about the secrecy policy like you don't even know. The judge was pissed that California lied. They sent their people to lie. They said they're not pushing policies to keep secrets. They had the documents because we just blew the whistle and exposed them. So you can imagine God's really using things to really expose things, and it's really great. But the PRISM training, it is mind-blowing, disgusting that our money's being used. And all these special interest groups, Trevor's Project, all of that are on the docs and the books. I would say they're cooking the books and giving all these people all of our taxpayer dollars to push this ideology into the classroom. PRISM and the people that are behind it should be in prison. They have full-time staff behind PRISM to ensure that they give support to teachers if they, need help to push this into the classroom. It's a pretty wicked thing. They always say we're lying, and I'm like, yeah, okay, here's your stupid slides. How are we lying about this one, right? But it is pretty wild. Like drag queens, everything you could think of is in there. It's Gender Sexual Alliance Club, guys. It's so gross. Like I would say whoever that advisor is, just start posting it on your social media. This person's your Gender Sexual Alliance advisor at school. Like, why do we even have adults talking about sexual things with kids in school? Like, hello, that should be a red flag. Like I was told by my father, a single father, you're never to talk to anybody about these things. And, he pulled me out of every sex ed, and it wasn't like sex ed back then. It wasn't like this. But I'm glad you brought it up, but it does get my blood boiling. I'm like, ugh. All that money. You get 4 appointed seats, and one of them's like your comms director, you're kind of like your deputy, and then you get 2 staff members, like a scheduler and stuff. So for me, I can't promise anybody seats. That's actually against the law, but I can look and ask God for people to hopefully join me. I will tell you, actually moving a district in education and reading is my number 1 priority, because if kids can't comprehend, they ain't going to get anything we're trying to teach them. So in California, you have all these standards, right? And everyone always uses Mississippi. What are they doing? What are they doing? It's very simple. They are taking certain amount of standards, identifying them as the critical standards, and then pushing and having the children master those standards, right? So the person that is my best person that I want to take or maybe consult with would be our own superintendent. I remember coming in, I was pissed. I thought he was the boss. Everybody thought with our majority, we were going to fire our superintendent. And I looked him straight up the eye because God was like, no. And I was like, yeah, we're going to fire this guy. He's bad, God. And God literally was telling me no. He was like, nope. And I sat with him and I said, what is it that you want to do? And trust me, he thought he was going to get fired, right, Pat? Everybody thought he was going to get fired, because I told them all they're going to be fired as a mom. I did say that. And I always laugh because they're mad that now we're like, oh, they could see us working as a team. But long story short, I said, what is it that you want to do? And he says, I have this program. He's a data guy. He's very driven. He was a teacher before, so he understands the classroom. He showed me, and I said, okay, show it to me. I'm not just going to sign on the dot. We were in classrooms. I would go to the teacher training. I would see the collab. And I know this gives teachers that are in the, my mother-in-law was a teacher for so long. When you hear collaboration and all these things that, the state funds, you cringe because you know what direction they are. It's totally different in our district. The biggest opponent was the union, but we broke down the union even. And eventually they submitted because the good teachers that are coming in needed resources and help. And it does help our good teachers. The results are there. Our district was just identified from Stanford as like on the recovery model from COVID. So he does know how to move a district. We know how to support somebody moving a district. And somebody like that would be my top key. Because look, we can get in. I can expose everything, but I want a team that's getting in there and working. God's provided so many good policy people across California that I think would be great and that I can consult with. Lance Christensen, all these guys that I have fought the good fight in 6 years, I think they would be great to help me. We have legislators. The legislators, I think I have maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7, and I have a caucus lunch next week with the rest of them to hopefully get their endorsement and help. So we have their staff, because you all know it's the chief of staffs that really drive the policy for our legislators. We have a lot of good people that we have linked arms with that I'm not too worried about the policy side, because I do know some of the board on, well, not know them, but I know that one of the ladies, Hammond, she's like a data-driven woman. So I study these people to see where we can actually meet together and align together. They may not like, my ideology beliefs, but okay, if you're really in it for kids and you don't want to be exposed as harming kids, let's go with what they want. So like, she's a data person, right? And with the Board of Education, I can't get policy passed unless I have their buy-in. So let's work together and see where their brains spark up, where they don't want to be out in the public doing bad things. I've already look, state superintendent is a spokesperson. The board, if you're doing a good job, you find people's gifts and talents and you work with them, right? They may not believe what I believe in with, again, ideology, but a lot of them are really experts in their own field. And I do have that gift from God to identify where's your gift. Let's use it. You don't like me because of this. Let's use it. So, yeah. So I love that you said that, because I got emails from CIF. Eventually they send their attorney to talk to me. They won't talk to me anymore. They just send me to their attorney. I have emails of them blaming California Department of Ed. And when I submitted a Title IX complaint to I get them all to go against each other. And when I submitted a complaint from California Department of Ed, they pointed and said they don't have authority over CIF. So they're doing this. And we have good people in federal department right now that are on our team, that's on Bill's team, that all of those documents are going there. I just pray to God that it takes time and fruition will come. But there has to be a process right now before they can actually literally pull the funding, but the process is in play. I just think if we get there, it'll be faster. Unfortunately, we have. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're on our side, but the leadership is cowards. And no, they are. And I looked at, I'm like you, because the last CIF meeting I was in, I literally looked at all the men, because look, I believe men have biblical strengths in leadership. And I do think I'm very old fashioned. We don't have to get in that. But at the end of the day, I looked at all the men, and some of them were grandpas, some of them were dads. And I said, look at me in the eye. And I don't care what you can do actually enforcing it. Raise your hand if you agree and you'll try to internally do something to protect your daughters, your granddaughters. Not one of them raised their hand. And I looked at them and I said, you guys are cowards and you will be held responsible. You will. There's no doubt in my mind. Because God willing, I get in that seat, you better believe I will trigger every possibility and find every way with every attorney to start holding them accountable. That is my number one thing that we can do off the back. The rest in my 100-day plan that, God's helping me develop, the rest will come. And we have a team to focus on that. I am very good at making sure we enforce those things. I'm trying to get a congressman too, and Calvert just endorsed my race. And there's a way in Congress. We can go into it later, but I love all the steps. I love finding all the loopholes that they can't loop around. And there's a way in Congress, if you have a congressman like Kiley or Calvert, which I'm trying to tell. I told Kiley first because he's on a chair at the Department of Ed, or the Education Committee. So I want to give him a chance first to respond. And if he doesn't, then whatever, I'll go to Calvert and hopefully he'll get on board, because he is about protecting our girls, at least in the conversations. If a congressperson holds a hearing, puts them all on to testify, at that point, you can trigger something in the law, okay, to pull the funding and stop playing around. So to me, it's a matter of time before we put so much pressure on somebody that somebody's going to do the right thing. And imagine as a state superintendent asking a Congress member to say, hey, can you do that? It's a lot more than little Sonja in Chino Valley. Yeah, we come with a lot of people and we're showing that we're a wrecking force. But at the same token, I think some good things will happen and they'll come a lot faster if we have that position. I hope that answers it. Mm-hmm. Well, they are eliminating people by just people leaving when they got in. People are like, I don't want nothing to do with this. And of course, you have your crazy people that are staying and saying, no, they're going to. So I think they're chipping away at certain things as far as federal wise. They're trying to push it back to the state and say, okay, you guys are, responsible for your Department of Ed. Obviously, we know California is way too top heavy, right? And has way too many people on the books getting paid way too many dollars that have nothing to do with actually pushing things to the kids. But I will tell you, when we got into our district, let's just say people were starting to retire earlier, they were leaving, they didn't want to be there because they knew that we were not going to give in. I just asked God when I get up there, can you please remove the wicked, and hopefully they all scatter. That's my other thing that I'm asking. So please pray with me. Because can you imagine me living in, well, I have to be there like most of my, especially in the beginning, like be up there away from my family. But can you imagine me walking through the Department of Ed and being like, hey, we need to talk, we have a meeting, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. What are you guys doing? They don't want that. But I will tell you there is good people there, because I've already gotten anonymous notes like, hey, don't give up, we're with you, can't wait, blah, blah, blah. That's like exciting, right? But again, I'm just hoping it's like, shining a light on a bunch of cockroaches and they all flutter, and then I will have less work to do. And then we won't hire because we want to give money back to the districts. Did you guys know that there's districts, rural areas that don't even have working water or bathrooms? Like, I think as Californians, we have a right to know that we have schools in California that are being ran worse than a third world country, but no one's speaking for them. And the same doo-doo faces running against me are all talking about, oh yeah, because I said, you guys all put the red tape and made the law that didn't enable them to take the grants because they have to match the grant. And you know darn well right they can't match the grant because superintendent is not only superintendent, he's the bus driver, he's the principal, he's the friggin' janitor, right? Like, they don't have a lot of funding. And I'm over here like, no. Like, these are things that right away off the bat, like, you would have me screaming at the rooftops, exposing it. Who wants to be part of that? And saying, oh, I was in the department for 15 years and I let this go. Like, I think we have a lot of explaining and accountability, right? Just like we do in our own district. When, look, I told you, every day we're fighting battles. Every day we're fighting battles. Luckily, I have a good relationship with a lot of parents who are exposing a lot of activists in the classroom who tell me where the things are. And because we have the authority over, the superintendent, we're holding him responsible if he doesn't go in there and shut that down, right? We have to make him shut it down. That's the same way. I'm not one to be pushed over, and I'm not trying to live up into Sacramento my whole life. I want to get back to my family after I serve hopefully 8 years up there and then have some peace maybe. I don't know. We'll see what God says. He's probably like, no, not until you get up in heaven. No peace for you. He ran 2 elections. He was there for 8. Yeah, his first run was against Tucker. Tucker was a Democrat, but what people consider like a common sense Democrat, if that makes sense, like an old school one. And Tucker almost beat him. But then again, they had the unions fighting over, and they were both Democrats. So at the end of the day, he was like 48 or something, or 49. He was really close. It was sad. Lance was the last one to run against him. And that unfortunately was like, didn't go too well. But at the end of the day, I think Lance kind of paved things to kind of raise awareness with some of us grassroots parents that didn't even know what the seat was other than we hated Tony, right? So, I mean, I think we're in the perfect time. We always say in God's timing. But I don't remember him ever being appointed. He's running for governor, by the way, but he's like he's not even above the error margin, right? And I'm like, come on, guys. Like, he's not even above the error margin. Who's even considering him? Like, that's an embarrassment. But he did tell our teachers that he moved to Chino. I was at an award ceremony. Our school was getting an award. Hey. And then he told him, hey, I moved to Chino. And I'm like, you turkey nugget, you're not going to get governor. And you're probably going to run for one of our Senate or Assembly or something seats because that's what they do. And I'm like, I dare you to come over here because we have some crazy moms that will definitely drive him out of there. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, any more questions, comments? You already knew? You're just testing me right now? Oh. That is amazing. We did hear about that. See, and it was your son too that spoke. Yeah, and I feel so bad because when we got here, we were like cracking up in the car because we have what we call Shaw-isms, just so you know. Like, we always laugh because I have a bad habit of saying words incorrectly. And so they call them Shaw-isms. And I think I said, Pat, what was the word I said that you guys were making fun of me with? Oh, incarcerated. I was explaining because EdSource just did another PRA on my 700 forms. And I'm like, ooh, like, I'm scared. Like, I don't have anything to hide. I don't even own anything besides the house. Like, go ahead. And then I had to declare a wreath that our boys, we call it Boys Republic. It's actually one of the programs that they're not utilizing the right way, but it's from, boys that were in prison for doing bad things. And they send them to our program. We give them housing. We teach them how to live. To work. They work in there. They do all these things. It's a great program, but unfortunately the state doesn't want to do it anymore because they don't want to arrest, these kids who are doing violent crimes, because that's bad. And I'm like, that's not bad. It's holding them accountable and showing them how to actually get back on their feet. Well, long story short, we get these beautiful wreaths that they do a fundraiser for, and we get gifted the wreath as a thank you for, obviously supporting their program. And we have to put it on our 700 because it's like $90 or something. And I was telling, my consultant, I'm like, yeah, and EdSource is doing this, but what are they going to find? A wreath because of the Boys Republic? And he goes, what's Boys Republic? And I'm like, the incarcerated boys. And then they just started busting up laughing. And you could imagine we were like laughing in the car. And then my daughter did that water bottle thing, when you have pretend lips, and we scared the crap out of my husband because, we don't do that stuff in our house. And then, not that it's bad, but I have young girls and I always tell them you're beautiful the way you are. Don't get caught up in all that fantasy world. And then she did it, and then we called my husband in, and he was so mad. He's like, I can't believe you let her do that. And I said, well, I wasn't home, and she told me she won something on Instagram. I told her to go. And he was like panicking, but not panicking, and her lips were out to here. And the long story short, we were telling that story, and anyways, we got to laugh. You guys, I appreciate being here. Trust me, it's nice to be in my own area. I call this home because anything within 2 hours is home. I haven't been at home for a very long time, but I could tell you, the last trip last weekend, we were on the fourth event of the day. Some of these places like Chico and Paradise, they're like and then coming back to, Marysville and all these areas, some of them are 2 hours away. You're on your fourth event of talking like this to people, which is, you don't have time to even eat. Jenny's driving, and not only did we get pulled over because she doesn't know how to work a gas car because she's been spoiled with electric cars and they do everything for you, including turning your lights on. Next thing, we weren't speeding because we couldn't see. Next thing you know it, God allowed us to be saved by the grace of him that we didn't get ran over or, bumped into. We're getting pulled over. This was the best one because we get pulled over and I'm like, Jenny, what did you do? What did you do? And she goes, I didn't do anything. The highway patrol comes knocking on my window. I'm trying to roll it down. It's child locked or something, and she's trying to roll it down. And then I open the door like an idiot on the highway patrol. And you can only imagine. Then eventually the window went down, and our brains aren't working right because we literally have no food for the day. We got up at 7. This is like 10:30 at night, right? And we have an hour and a half to still drive back to the hotel. And then I'm going to tell you this because it is actually funny, so bear with me. I'm sorry if my stories are boring. But at that point, we finally get the window rolled down, and Jenny looks at the highway patrol, and the highway patrol goes, do you know why I pulled you over? And Jenny goes, I wasn't speeding, was I? Why would you say that? And I'm looking at her, and the highway patrol goes, no, your lights are off. And Jenny goes, officer, I don't know how to drive this car. Jenny! Yeah, and she goes, well, there's a knob right there. And I'm like, let me lean over. And I just put the knob on because I'm like mortified. And now I'm acting crazy and erratic, right? Like I'm sweating. And then this one goes, she goes, officer, you really need to be careful out there because we all see what they're doing to ICE. And I'm like, oh my God, what is coming out of her mouth? And then I go to say, officer, because I remember the mom I told you that she's law enforcement wife. I'm like, we're on the phone with her and we appreciate law enforcement. I don't even know what we're saying at this time. Long story short, she asked her for her license. She lost her license, so she has her passport and a copy of her license on the phone. She goes, I lost my license. Gives her the phone, and I'm like, Lord, we're done. We're done. We're going to be taking this car away. We're going to be in trouble. We're going to have to tell our husbands we're 9 hours or 8 hours, 6 hours away from home. I don't even know how far we are from home. We're just in trouble. We're done. We're not going to be able to get to the events in the morning. And then she looks at us, and I'm like, I don't know why I said this. I'm like, we're just a bunch of crazy moms. Like, I'm running for state superintendent. Why would I ever say I'm ready for state superintendent. We're out in the middle of nowhere. This fog is crazy. We apologize. And she takes the phone. She writes down her name, and she goes, I'm going to give you a warning. Please be safe. And we were like, I was like, step on the gas. My door was open. Remember I opened it? Well, I forgot to close it, so it's dinging. She's still behind us. Long story short, we ended up, by the grace of God, getting away from that one. But that's just one of our stories. I don't know. I'm hoping she sees the humility in what just happened. Like, we literally took the shovel and was like digging us a grave, right? And she literally let us go away. So I'm thinking she kind of liked us. We weren't bad. We were just a mess at times. I mean, that day, that same day, I was in the road. But I was even farther from where we were in Chico. Well, they put a bunch of rounds and stayed around me. Like, hey, you come in, there's a couple of roads. They come in and tell me that rounds on the seat. I stay on the seat for an hour and a half. I get off, and I literally have a little like, whoo, all down me. So I'm like, of course, I don't want people to think I'm full of traffic. And I'm like, Jenny, we have about 45 minutes before we have to report to the next speaking event. We pull over to Walmart. This one, and I do have a lot of dogs too. Feed the dog. We're washing the hot sauce chicken that we didn't get to eat, our only meal for the day. Feed the dog. We put the dog water. Eventually get into Walmart. Kind of like it with the like the towel to that guy. It's like stuff. I wasn't having to and then some other lady walking around. They can't have a voice. Not a color for those shop lights, but yeah, no thing. We got the lights, we got off, and again, by the grace of God, we got the next one. So those are the stories that, one day we can tell our grandkids on how long State California is. Yeah. Oh,